From Chesapeake, Virginia, WHKT presents Sports Scene. Sports Scene features local, regional, and nationally acclaimed guests and excellent interviews. Follow Sports Scene on Twitter at Greg Bick. Now here is Greg Bicouvaris.
All right, thank you very much, Joe Daniel. Glad you're with us on this beautiful June 28th. Happy birthday to Stella Contras. Sports Scene interview show every Wednesday from 12 to 1. Also sports highlights on nnpstv.com. Tell your friends about 1650 AM, 92.5 FM, as well as this show is simulcast, as well as tunein.com. Twitter at Greg Bick, at Sports Highlight, at GJBTV, HR1LineMall.com, and WHKT AM 1650. Thank you to our military for what you do 24/7. Guest lineup, Darryl Cummings is our featured guest, tennis extraordinaire. Sponsors on GJBTV.com, as well as marketplace sponsors. Guest lineup presented by Mi Casita Mexican Restaurant with 2 great locations in Virginia Beach. Phone line presented by Outback Steakhouse in Kempsville in Virginia Beach. Sponsors this month, Crawl Space Stores, Mi Hogar Spaghetti-Etties. Hard to believe the month is almost over as we get into July 4th in less than a week. Major League Baseball going on, Tides, July 4th around the corner. Greg Bick on Twitter. Great interviews, business segments, highlights, commentary, what teased me off, all part of Sports Scene. Glad you're part of it. Thank you for making the habit to listen to Sports Scene each week, and we love our regulars and newcomers as well. With Joe Daniel Gutierrez, Greg Bicouvaris, glad you're with us. Sports Scene will roll on after these messages. It is 12:08. Stay tuned. People in Chesapeake and Hampton Roads have come to expect the finest Italian food at Spaghetti Eddie's. In addition to great lunch and dinner served daily, this fine establishment caters to and can host your party. Call 484-7301 for their Taylor Road location and call 410-5500 for their restaurant in Greenbrier. For more, log on to SpaghettiEddiesPizzaCafe.com.
Catch up on archived editions of Sports Scene by going to GJBTV.com and clicking the YouTube image on the homepage. Now back to Sports Scene with Greg Bicouvaris.
We just heard from Spaghetti Eddie's. I know Joe Daniel loves Spaghetti Eddie's. That is the Gutierrez family restaurant there. All right, live as always, we are in the middle of tennis and golf season. We're going to shift focus today talking about tennis, a sport I grew up playing, have been ranked on, and this is the tennis extraordinaire. He hosted the Sports Philosophy Show a long time ago in 2016. Former Old Dominion tennis coach, Norfolk State coach today. Very involved in the USTA, MATA, developing several men and women for decades. Let's welcome back Darryl Cummings. How are you, my friend?
Hey, Greg, how you doing? And 2016 is a long time ago?
Well, it is now in radio days. I guess it is. I mean, we last heard you on here in last spring. It's been a while. We miss you.
Okay, well, we're maybe making a comeback there. And yes, not Norfolk State coach today, but Norfolk State coach for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm going to try to get 19 years if Marty Miller will let me. I want to go for 19 years just like I did at Old Dominion. That way, you know, I'm the only guy to coach all 3 universities now in the city of Norfolk, Virginia Wesleyan, Old Dominion, and now Norfolk State. And you know all the athletic directors, you know, Joanne Wren and Jim Jarrett and Marty, and they all have something in common, is that they're old school and they're very abusive. So meaning if you're going to get something passed by those guys, it's not too easy.
Darryl, let me ask you a question. You're busy with your own racket club in Virginia Beach. You can plug that as well. How did you have time to take on this endeavor? Because you were idle for a few years after you left Old Dominion. I'm impressed with the time that you've got to do this.
Well, the racket club itself, Cape Henry Racket Club, my wife and I bought that in 2009. It pretty much has a life of its own. It has its own coaches. My wife, Beth Gregory, is the manager of it. So she recommended that I did take the Norfolk State job when it came open. She thought it'd be better for our marriage that for me to drift away from the club and from the house. And so, and Norfolk State was certainly a job that I was always interested in because I enjoy coaching college tennis in my hometown, and I like doing it at places where I can make a difference. and they are working alongside Nat Warren, who's our assistant coach, who was actually the founder of the program in the 80s. It was just really a good fit, and I did have the time for it, and so forth. So it was kind of a good fit there, right time.
Well, let's talk about your team, of course, and how does it compare to some of the other teams you coach at Old Dominion and Virginia Wesleyan? And it's still Division I tennis. It's top quality tennis.
Sure. We're in the MEAC conference, Division I tennis, one of 31 conferences in the at the Division I level. So we pretty much aspire to win the conference, and then once you win the conference, you get the NCAA qualification. This past year, we had a very young team that we put together, and with a lot of freshmen, and both the men and women qualified for the conference tournament. 4 teams from the north and 4 teams from the south make it, and the men advanced to the semifinals, giving South Carolina State, defending champions, a good run for their money. And we had 4 freshmen on the court and 2 sophomores. And they're good players, and they're really good kids, really represented the university well, and sort of Spartan Nation out there. So just really excited to be part of the Green and Gold. And we have a new tennis facility, and that was done the year prior to me starting. And we've had some really great fundraising events. We have a heck of a committee, booster committee, led by Nat Warren, and we had a great event at Top Golf, had another golf event at Honeybee, and then we had a gala at Norfolk Yacht and Country Club that had the Gatsby theme. And I did win Best Dress there, by the way.
Nice.
I know you wanted to know that. So I had some gangster-looking clothes. So anyway, it's very active within our tennis community, and the on-court success is pretty promising.
Well, let's talk about that, too, as well, about the tennis, because for years the late Dr. Strain ran a great program at Hampton with the CIAA, and then, of course, the MEAC, like you said. So is tennis pretty healthy in Virginia right now, because you've coached both men and women?
Yes, tennis is very healthy in the state of Virginia. They're producing some good players from this area that are playing for some other Division I colleges. The colleges themselves, University of Virginia was number 1 in the country. I was at the final match when they won the NCAA championships. Virginia Commonwealth won their conference this year. On the men's side, Division III level, Virginia Wesleyan's good. My son plays on the Hampton Sydney team. W&L is in the national ranking. So the state of Virginia is actually filled with probably, if you count the men and women combined, it's well over 40 tennis programs at the Division I, Division II, and Division III level. So you don't have to drive far down Interstate 64 or 81 to find a tennis program.
What about tournaments, Darryl? You and I played in some of the same tournaments before over the years when I was playing a lot, and you and I have known each other for a long time, sanctioned tournaments. How is the MATA, the Mid-Atlantic Tennis Association, the USTA, are the junior tournaments still abundant as far as the state, and also the adult tournaments as well?
Well, the junior tournaments, there's plenty of them to play. I sometimes am a little skeptical that we put 14-year-old kids against 14-year-old kids too often. I really gravitate to there's like a special tournament in Richmond, the McDonald's Mid-Atlantic Clay Courts, that has $30,000 of prize money. So the winner of each, the men and the women division, gets $7,500. But the thing that I like about that is that they cluster the players by universal tennis ratings to get people good matches. So in the qualifying draws, you'll have some players that play Division III tennis who and they get some good matches, and then they keep feeding up. So the higher level players come in at the farther along in the tournament. That's a really special tournament that Scott Steinhauer and Bill Barnes has put together, and a lot of other tournaments are modeling themselves after it. My son, he played in the tournament. He said he's never played in front of that many people in his life. He was playing doubles and playing in front of a couple hundred people, and they got a Ruth Chris dinner on one of the sponsors' nights. It's really phenomenal. So a lot of tournaments are just getting better, and that's one that is really on our Mid-Atlantic level has done a great job as setting the bar higher.
Right. I know Lynchburg's always had good tournaments. You and I both played in the Stonehenge Country Club. But I want to get your thoughts because you know this very well. You and I have both been a part of doing TV and interviews when we had the pros here like Blake and Serena. Serena Williams coming to Norfolk at Old Dominion. You know John McEnroe as well as anybody does, including his brother. I want you to hear your clip, and I'm going to give you my take first before we play it, Joe Daniel, that from a tennis standpoint, all I think McEnroe meant was, we'll get Darryl's thoughts after the clip, that it's hard to compare, let's say, a man and a woman as far as sports as football, basketball, baseball. You don't see women playing baseball. You see them driving from a different range than men do as far as golf. You don't see women playing in the NBA. I really think McEnroe is just referring to the body is stronger for a male for the most part, and I don't think he was being derogatory at all. But let's hear what John McEnroe said and get Darryl Cummings' thoughts after this.
Let's talk about Serena Williams. You say she is the best female player in the world in the book.
Best female player ever, no question.
Some wouldn't qualify it. Some would say she's the best player in the world. Why qualify it?
Oh, she's not, you mean the best player in the world, period?
Yeah, best tennis player in the world. You know, why say female player?
Well, because if she played the men's circuit, she'd be like 700 in the world.
You think so?
Yeah. That doesn't mean I don't think Serena's like an incredible player. I do. But there's, the reality of what would happen on a given day. Serena could beat some players, I believe, because she's so incredibly strong mentally. But if she had to just play the circuit, the men's circuit, that would be an entirely different story. So maybe at some point a women's tennis player, can be better than anybody. I mean, I haven't seen it in any other sport, and I haven't seen it in tennis. And I suppose anything's possible at some stage.
Darryl Cummings, your thoughts? I don't think anybody can give a better quality answer than you on this.
Greg, that's a heck of a lot of pressure. I mean, you didn't even give me time to rehearse on this one, but I mean, McEnroe has some valid points here. Today, there's a beautiful rating system, the Universal Tennis Rating System, used all around the world. College tennis uses it. It goes from 1 to 16. So when two players play at the same level, they get a good match, usually like 6-3 or 6-4 is projected. Roger Federer is a level 16 player. Serena Williams is a level 13. The number 6 guy on UVA's national championship is a 14. So when you put two 13s together, they usually play matches like 6-3, 6-4. If they're one level differential, 6-3, 6-2, two level of differentials, you get morbid scores. Serena, in this rating system that actually started in Norfolk and it's spread all over the world. I mean, they have millions of results and thousands of players in there, and it's served to be just a great projection for players, whether they be choosing colleges or try to get good matches. Is Serena's a 13 and a 13 in the top 20 Division I men's tennis programs. They all have level 14 guys at number 6. Now, McEnroe has a book to sell, and it's Wimbledon time, so it's nice to talk about this, but I think what would be even more interesting is what would John McEnroe do in the women's game? Do you think John McEnroe could win a Grand Slam tournament in the women's draw today?
No.
I don't think so either. What number do you think John McEnroe would be ranked in the women's world rankings, knowing that he has to compete to get at least 12 of those tournaments in there? What do you think he would fall, Greg? You think he'd be top 50, top 100?
Well, here's the thing, Darryl. When he was obviously 40 years old, I think he would be in the top 100. But he's pushing he's pushing 60 in a couple of years. He's still playing competitive tennis against guys 20 years younger than him in the senior circuit. So I think he would maybe be top 200 maybe, but his body is not what it used to be. He still does a lot of serve and volley like a lot of players do. But I really think just because he's not as physically fit as a lot of these women would be at age 58, it's really hard to compare.
No, but I tell you one thing about McEnroe. He may be the oldest guy I know that's at the highest level. I didn't study his results, but he's a level 13 player.
Wow.
Now that's pretty good. That's really good given his age. Now, when we were doing at the TED, when we had those exhibitions come in, there, what about over 10 years ago, the first exhibition was just really right for this community. You had Roddick against Blake, and there was a lot of excitement. The second year, we had Roddick and Agassi right after Agassi retired. Now, the third year, anytime you're keeping an exhibition going on, it's hard to keep the teeth going in that thing. But we still averaged among the national average. I believe we're over 4,000 for the third year, and 1 and 2 were more like 6,000 or 7,000.
Right.
So in the third year, we had Serena, James Blake, Marty Fish, Tantiata Galvin, and the Bryan brothers. We tried to pitch it to Serena that if Serena would play James Blake in singles, we tried to pitch it as a battle of the sexes, and we thought we would get enough attention to be at least on TV on the tennis channel, and because it was just right for the battle of the sexes one more time, like the Billie Jean King and Bobby Riggs thing.
Sure.
So we pitched it. James was chewing on it. James Blake was chewing on it a little bit, and pretty much Serena shut it down.
Right.
She because your average fan, your average sports fan now gains an interest in it because it's going to have some hype to it and so forth. I like, we conduct tournaments at Cape Henry Racket Club, and a lot of them it's level based, and level based is we mix it up. The guys and the girls play together, and certainly in our collegiate practices, we did a lot of mixed doubles, and if you got players at the same level, let them compete. So we don't have total separation out there between the men and women, but we have enough. We have enough play to know who's who, kind of thing.
Right.
But Serena, without a doubt, is the best athlete, tennis player of all time. So it's always, if you're trying to get a little notoriety, if you're going to sell a book, that's always a good subject matter to start off in, especially with the British tabloids.
Right.
They'll eat that up this time of year. So he's probably selling books as we speak.
Yeah, McEnroe, of course, is still relevant because he's on network television. Not the name he used to be. A whole generation doesn't know who he is. But still, a lot of points. Serena right now is taking a break. She's pregnant. We wish her all the best. And I really don't think McEnroe is proving anything. But here's the thing I didn't like. That interviewer had no idea about tennis. You could tell. She knows nothing about sports at all. She was just going from a standpoint, women are powerful too. We already know that. And she didn't get it, doesn't understand sports. And she really wasn't even qualified to ask McEnroe a question. I think it was more about the interviewer who was clueless than the question.
Yeah, he may have just given her these questions to read to set him up prior to. You're definitely better than her, Greg.
I hope so, yeah. I would need a couple Darryl Cummings, and I need to still come out there around 4 o'clock and play during the day, but I love the oceanfront too much, as you well know. So let's talk about the upcoming summer schedule as far as anything that you're keeping an eye on as far as locally, regionally, as far as tournaments and everything.
Locally, there's just a series of junior tournaments coming to town. The Virginia Beach Racket Club is hosting the National Girls 16s. So that's always a good tournament to be around as a spectator. And certainly as anyone that can qualify that. I believe there'll be some local talent that'll qualify that. I can't really comment on names due to NCAA rules, but it's going to be a healthy tournament in July. And certainly that one up there in Richmond in the middle part of July, right before the girls' 16s with the $30,000 prize money. That's a great event for spectators and certainly all the local tennis players that want to compete at a high level to make that road trip up 64. But I'm looking forward. I'm doing a road trip to the International Hall of Fame that I've never been to, and my wife and I are going, and so we're looking forward to seeing that ATP tournament along with the Tennis Hall of Fame.
So that's usually on grass,
a road trip up there, and then we're also going through the Hamptons to look at some various tennis venues and recruits that we know that are in that particular area.
How come, Darryl, that we knew more about the American tennis players and tennis players in general in the 70s before the internet than we do today? The average person couldn't name 5 American tennis players, men or women, besides Serena, but everybody knew who Connors were, Tanner, McEnroe. They knew those names, Harold Solomon Dibbs.
Right.
This is all before the internet. It's unbelievable.
Let's just make the assumption that our current American players, maybe they're not good at social media. I'm not,
I guess not.
not sure.
Yeah.
But also that time, you're never sure if you're. Someone asked me when I was coaching at Old Dominion, they said, "Hey, now that you have this new indoor facility, the Folk Stevens Indoors, hey, are we really going to do something special?" And I was like, "No." I mean, prior to that, in 2008, we had 2 players in the main draw of Wimbledon. So sometimes your best novel is behind you, and that's okay. Kind of like Old Dominion women's basketball. It's going to be hard. It's be impossible to get back to that kind of level. Well, if we look at American tennis, especially on the male side, and sometimes I hate that question, hey, what about American tennis? Well, American tennis, Serena's the dominant one. And the Bryan brothers were dominant in doubles, and Serena and Venus were dominant in doubles anytime they played. And the Americans have done well in mixed doubles. So we're really just talking about one category, men's singles. In men's singles, we just had a run. I mean, when you have a Connors and a McEnroe going at it, that's pretty cool. But then when you follow it up with Agassi and Courier and Chang and a guy named Sampras, you're just not going to get that one again. And I mean, the game has become certainly very international. A lot of federations, a lot of countries are putting a lot of resources in it. And you may never, ever get that one again. I mean, can you imagine what it would be like, how boring it would be if we didn't have like a Federer and these top 4 guys gobbling up titles? If we were just a sport of one slam wonders, it'd be a little bit boring.
Right, but you don't see Federer's that type playing for decades, or Serena Williams. That's a freak of nature. I mean, Martina played for a long time, so did Chris Evert, but you look at Gabrielle Sabatini, she dropped out early. A lot of women, once, it becomes involved with their personal lives, they just, they drop it. They don't stick around like Martina and Chrissy did, or even Pam Shriver, for that matter, in doubles. I want to get your final take on this question. We've had players like Mark Vines from Virginia, who's won a pro indoor tournament. Leanne Thompson played in the women's tour. Julie Shiflett. Who else in this area do you think has that potential, or was that a freak of nature seeing those 3 doing pretty well?
Well, the challenge of that is when you talk about earning a world ranking. I mean, you're talking about earning a world ranking. That's kind of hard to do.
Yeah.
I mean, because not only is it hard to do, but the commitment needed nowadays. In the 80s, I earned a world ranking in doubles. I spent $3,500 to go to Spain for the summer, and ended up 621 in the world in doubles. I mean, nowadays, you're going to have to go and play for a year to get over a year to get your best world ranking. So you got to have someone. There are some players in this area that certainly have talent to do this. I mean, you have Shannon Hudson, who just finished her eligibility at Arkansas, and she went to the NCAAs. She's of that level. You have a Brooke Pilkington, who was just named Conference Player of the Year. She's of that level. Now, are they going to make that commitment to do all the travel and the resources needed, and to be away from home for long periods of time? And we're talking 25, 30 weeks on the road going and play these kinds of tournaments. Some people are just too smart than doing that, because they would rather start their careers. It is kind of a sacrifice, both financially and time-wise, to do that. But those are 2 players that are playing college tennis, and one of them just finished college tennis. They're UTR level 10 players, and I believe if they went after it, they could be at an 11, and you can start to earn a world ranking then and see where it takes you. But it takes a lot of time, effort, and energy to do that. Certainly in the 80s, I did it as a hobby. Now it's certainly a profession.
Darryl, all the best to you and your wife and the Norfolk State family as well, and Virginia Beach, all the great things that you do for the sport of tennis, your time, your talent, and your treasure. All the best. Be safe, my friend, and hope to see you out in the tennis courts.
Thank you, Greg.
My pleasure. Darryl Cummings right there talking tennis, of course, and really that is a sport of a lifetime. And I guess the big thing too, Joe Daniel, is as well to get people off the couch and be physically active no matter what you do. Tennis, walking, running, swimming, there's really something for everyone.
No, absolutely. And that's one of the things that you constantly hear. You need to be active for like an hour a day, especially for kids. And now they're taking away recess, I heard. And so in public schools, or I guess all schools, but yeah, no, staying active, it's an essential part of being healthy, both physically, but also mentally, just allowing yourself to be active.
And all the days of the week, this is interesting too, that Sunday is the biggest issue, that people have nothing to do other than going to the beach or the pool. If they don't do that, they're sitting at home on the couch in the air conditioning, and the time is dragging because they're not working that day.
Right. No, time flies when you're having fun. Go and have fun.
Exactly. Be active. All right, stay tuned. Sports Scene will continue. Hope you enjoyed Darryl Cummings after these messages.
Interact with Sports Scene on Twitter at Greg Bick. Email bicogb@hotmail.com. Now back to Greg Bicouvaris in the Hampton Roads OnlineMall.com studios. It's now time for Greg's Highlights, presented by Hampton Roads OnlineMall.com.
Last night I had a chance to go to the Tides game as a fan. I'll be getting up there and seeing Ian and them very soon, but I want to have a lot of questions with Ian about last night. A lot of fun. All right, hope you enjoyed Darryl Cummings, the tennis extraordinaire in Virginia, former Old Dominion tennis coach, coaches Norfolk State, very involved with racket clubs in Virginia Beach as well. So, gjbtv.com, hit the YouTube link for archive shows. We're the only remaining sports talk show from Red Zebra from Virginia Beach. Save the date each Wednesday from 12 to 1 for Sports Scene. We're live on 92.5 FM, 1650 AM, and tunein.com. And thank you to the Navy gentleman that called here recently. Joe Daniel will give us some information about an upcoming event in just a few moments. Hampton Roads OnlineMall.com. Browse, shop, visit, bookmark it, folks. Locals and tourists, Hampton Roads OnlineMall.com, the place where locals and tourists go for services, retail, marketplace, and restaurants all in one lump sum. All right, Ian Locke, Media Relations Director, as we always have him on, getting closer and closer to the All-Star break. And last night, late in the game, there was a little scuffle there with Louisville. What was going on with that player last night?
Yeah, that was an interesting game, wasn't it? There was a whole bunch of crazy stuff going on here at the ballpark last night. But from what we could tell, it looked like the pitcher for Louisville, Amir Garrett, had taken, didn't like the 1-1 pitch he threw was called a ball, and he looked a little upset by that. And then the next pitch he threw, our guy hit a home run on it, and just kind of set him off. It looks like he lost his temper pretty quick and had to be restrained by the umpires. And his manager and coaches and stuff kind of held him back. But it was kind of crazy. I looked down to write down home run on my score sheet and looked up, and heck had broken loose down there. And I said, well, what's going on? But looking back at the replays, it looked like he was upset with one of the home plate umpires' calls, and that led to him losing his composure a little bit.
Greg Bicouvaris talking to Ian Locke and right here on Sports Scene at 12:36. But one thing, it kept on going and going and going, and finally some official from his team came out there and slowed him down. But he really, really was upset about that. I've always said myself, if you're going to have aggression towards anybody, have it in the playing field. Don't touch nobody. But they were very close to shoving the umpire and some of the officials there. It was very chest to chest.
Yeah, he was heated. It's tough to tell. From where I was in the press box, and I was talking to our guys after the game, and they were confused too. They didn't really know what had set him off. So, I'm not sure if something was said or not, but he was definitely visibly upset. And I know a couple of the pitching coach had to hold him back, and a couple of his players. And Amir Garrett, who's a pitcher, he's a very big prospect with the Cincinnati Reds system. I think he's the number 2 rated prospect. He opened the year with the Reds up in the big leagues, and he's a big guy. He played college basketball at St. John's for 2 years, so he's a great athlete, a big, strong kid, and it's unfortunate he kind of got upset last night, lost his composure, but don't be surprised to see him back in the big leagues here, because he's a pretty good talent, and hopefully he can control himself a little better than he did last night.
Yeah, maybe we could just give him one of those 50-cent hot dogs. He would have been happy. By the way, it was unbelievable seeing people just ordering hot dogs like it was luggage last night. People
love hot dogs. That's always one of our biggest nights. I think we have one more coming on later this year. But 50-cent hot dog night, you get 50-cent popcorn and sodas, and you get a whole meal, you're full and spend less than $5, and it was a great atmosphere, a great night for a ball game. Unfortunately, we kind of fell behind big early, made a late rally, and had the tying run on third base with 2 outs in the ninth, which is all you can really ask for when you're down 7-0 in the sixth inning. So we battled back, and it was just a great atmosphere, great crowd last night, and we hope to see a whole bunch more of those coming up this homestand.
I've always told people this. My dad, he also knows this. He was a big Ohio State football fan, that in this area, there's 2 quality of life things in the summer that have no rivalries. That's the ocean front in Virginia Beach to take a dip, and the second thing is to go to a Tides game in the summer as far as socializing with your friends and family. Really, there's no peer as compared to the ocean front and the Tides, and you guys just keep on enhancing it and enhancing it and enhancing it.
Yeah, we do everything we can to make it an experience. It's not so much just come out and watch a ball game, but it's enjoy some food, enjoy the weather. We got the breeze off the Elizabeth River. You have every year we're adding new concession items and new we have drink specials and things, and trying out new things, just trying to get people actively involved. And we add more stuff on our scoreboards, and we're doing Facebook and Snapchat and all sorts of other stuff to improve upon it. But at the same time, it's the simple being outside at a ballpark, enjoying the weather, enjoying a hot dog, a cold beer in the summertime. You can't beat it.
All right, this is Sports Scene right here on 92.5 FM, 1650 AM. We are live right now in Hampton Roads. Hello to all the locals and tourists. It's 12:39. Also, tunein.com. Type in WHKT to listen to your phone or computer. We archive this show and all the Twitter handles on gjbtv.com that you see on the homepage, as well as Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. It's all over the place. All right, Ian Locke, tell us about the remaining homestand. What should we expect?
Yep, we're home through Monday. So we have a night game tonight where we have some drink specials here at the ballpark, and then we have a day game tomorrow, 12:05. That wraps up with our series with Louisville. And then on Friday, we have a big night, Air Force night, which is a way for us to honor the brave men and women who serve in the Air Force, and active duty and retired U.S. Air Force personnel can get some discounted tickets here at the box office. On Saturday, we have some post-game fireworks after our 7:05 game with Durham. We're also celebrating Naval Station Norfolk's 100th anniversary that night on Saturday, so that should be a really cool event here. And then, like I said, fireworks after that game. Then we have a 4:05 game on Sunday, and then we wrap it up on Monday, July 3rd, with another big fireworks show. People have the long weekend with 4th of July coming up on Tuesday, so we get if you don't want to wait till the July 4th holiday to watch some fireworks, come on out to the ballpark. On Monday night, we'll have them here after our 7:05 game with Durham.
So you have them on this weekend and Monday?
Yep, Saturday and Monday this week, kind of a double bang for your buck kind of thing. So should be a big homestand, and we're excited to hopefully have some more exciting games like last night.
Well, let's talk about the Orioles. A lot of former Tides play there. They go back and forth. The 2 of them that we've interviewed are Joseph and Mancini. They're both playing solid. They're in the lineup a lot. The Orioles are hanging in there because the Yankees and Red Sox have been struggling.
Yeah, it's like we've said in the past. It all so much comes down to starting pitching, and the Orioles have gotten some pretty good pitching in the last week or so. It's crazy how jumbled everyone is in the American League. I mean, the Astros are killing it and running away with it, but after them, you get from the Yankees, who are the first wild card right now, and then Minnesota is the second wild card, and they're only 3 games over 500. So anyone is in the mix. I mean, the Chicago White Sox have the worst record in the AL, and they are 6.5 games back of the wild card, which is kind of crazy to see. But the Orioles are hanging right in there. They're a game and a half out of the wild card right now. They won 3 straight, and they got a good start from Bundy. Kevin Gausman threw 5 1/3 scoreless innings last night. So, Trey Mancini's been up there. He's having a great season, and he'd probably be the Rookie of the Year if not for that guy named Aaron Judge in New York, who's kind of had kind of made a splash on the scene this year. But Mancini's hitting, I think it says 319 with 14 home runs already in 62 games. So he's had a heck of a first year in the big leagues, and we're proud to see him killing it at the major league level every day.
Yeah, sports seasons really reveal yourself, but nothing like baseball. 162 games, and even at the AAA level, it's good, bad, ugly, blood, sweat, tears. I mean, the dog days are coming up.
Yeah, it's a grind. I mean, we're in a stretch here where a lot of people don't realize minor league baseball. We play 142 games in 154 days. So from April 6th when we start the season through Labor Day, we have essentially 12 days without a game, and 3 of those are the All-Star break. So, you go 3-4 weeks without having a day off at any point. So this is a stretch now. I think we're playing 26 days in a row or something like that before the All-Star break. So it's getting a little, guys get a little, it's a grind, that's for sure. So, you go through hot streaks and cold streaks, and the guys who can manage the cold streaks and, diminish them to a couple games as opposed to 5 or 10, those are the guys that end up with the best stats at the end of the year, and usually the guys are getting promoted.
Absolutely, too, because the All-Star game this year is in Miami for the Major League Baseball, next year in Washington. What about AAA?
AAA this year is in Tacoma, Washington, actually.
Wow.
So
Okay.
We'll have hopefully a couple guys going. I think the International League will be announcing that tomorrow, but we have a couple guys. Johnny Giavotella, our second baseman, is leading the league in hits, and I think he's 4th or 5th in the league in batting average this year. So he's a great candidate to go. And one of our younger guys, Jimmy Yacobonis, who's been up and down a little bit with the Orioles this year, out of our bullpen, has an ERA under 1, and he's leading the league in batting average against. So those are 2 guys that are very good candidates to be announced tomorrow. Hopefully we get more, but I know those 2 guys are the front runners for us right now.
All right, connect on social media.
Yeah, Facebook / Norfolk Tides. You can follow us on Twitter, which is at Norfolk Tides. We also have Riptide and Triton, our fun mascots, on Twitter as well. You can follow us on Snapchat, and our YouTube channel as well has Norfolk Tides clips. We post long highlights of every game, every home game on there. So if you get a chance, Greg, if you want to watch the TV version of the highlights you saw last night, there's about a 4-minute highlight package up on the website right now of videos from that. So
heck, there's games from Met Park on YouTube.
Yeah, there's all sorts of stuff on there. YouTube's crazy with how much you can put up there. So we try to take advantage of that as much as we can, and we'll post highlights and videos and things like that as much as possible, because that's what people want.
Yeah.
That's what people get.
And the Tides are always giving back to the community. All the best. NorfolkTides.com. Ian, we'll talk to you next week, my friend.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Greg.
Thank you. Ian Locke right there from the Norfolk Tides. Greg Bicouvaris, glad you're with us. 1650 AM, 92.5 FM. For more of my background, go to gjbtv.com. We do media buying, radio, TV, websites. We do it all. gjbtv.com. Sports highlights I show that I host on nnpstv.com as well since February of 92. All right, with Joe Daniel, we keep moving on here. CP Shuckers, a locals tradition, is CP Shuckers, with locations on Shore Drive and Pacific Avenue. People love their prime rib, seafood, and much more. They showcase NASCAR, Major League Baseball, college sports, golf, soccer, tennis. Got the Wimbledon coming up, like Darryl mentioned. Like both locations on Facebook, log on to cpshuckers.com. Eat or be eaten at CP Shuckers. Sports Scene will roll on after these messages. You gotta love it. You gotta love it. She's right. Whatever will be, will be. Exactly. Panera is the only nationwide chain that has everything 100% clean. They deliver as well to large groups, and they offer catering. Delivery is great from Panera. They have a rapid pickup option as well. Go by and see them at 6255 College Drive in the Harborview section of Suffolk for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. For more, log on to PaneraBread.com. Food as it should be. Soups, sandwiches, salads, breakfast, beverages, bagels, smoothies. They have it all. Go by and see Christian and the great staff. Interesting phone call you had, Joe Daniel, from one of our listeners. Tell us about it.
Yeah, a listener called in just to let us know of a free event that's going on. It's by the Navy World. It's called the Navy World Series Throwback Softball Game. And in case you didn't know, the Naval Station Norfolk is actually celebrating its 100 years in existence. So this whole year, they're celebrating its 100 anniversary, 100th birthday. And so pretty much multiple times throughout the year of every month, they're hosting and doing these events. And one of them that's coming up is the Navy World Series Throwback Softball Game. So they're going to play a baseball game, and players and concessions will be available at 1943 prices. So extremely cheap, should be really, really fun. And I believe it is free and open to the public to actually attend. But like I said, a lot of events that they're hosting for these air shows later on in the year, chef's run, a tour of all of the naval naval ships or a bunch of naval ships is occurring sometime in October, but all the information can be found at Navy MWR ant.com. And I know that's a lot, but it's essentially if you just Google like Navy World Series Centennial, it'll be one of the top two, and that's probably easier. Just Google Navy World Series Centennial, and then you'll be able to get all the information from their website.
Very good. All right, Outback Steakhouse curbside menu as well. Excellent place right there at 1255 Fordham Drive in Virginia Beach. Give them a call at 523-4832. Open for lunch and dinner 7 days a week. Locals and tourists love Outback Steakhouse in Kempsville in Virginia Beach. Just Google it. Outback Steakhouse, Kempsville, Virginia Beach. Great curbside menu, great appetizers like steakhouse quesadillas, soup, sides, and salads, entree salads, signature steaks, freshly made potatoes and sides, chicken ribs, chops, and more, straight from the sea. Great desserts, excellent dine rewards as well. Get 50% off for every fourth visit. Outback Steakhouse, the excellent restaurant in Virginia Beach. People love it, of course. Signature items for lunch and dinner. They do banquets as well. Go by and see Mike and the friendly staff. Go by and get a nice steak as well. It'll make your day. 523-4832. They're open 7 days a week. Great job on that, Joe Daniel. Great cause right there by the Navy as well to add quality of life to Hampton Roads. We'll take a short break, come back with Jennifer, get some fishing after this. You know, folks, your consequences in life today is really what your history has laid out before you sometimes. So always, when you go out the front door, think before you go out the front door, drive carefully, and of course always wear your seatbelt as well. Also, Buffalo Wild Wings in Newport News, great place to get lunch and dinner. They've got excellent food as well, like wings, burgers. They've of course got excellent sandwiches, a kids menu, great desserts, salads, beverages. They've got it all at Buffalo Wild Wings in Newport News, right by Patrick Henry Mall. Go by and see Paul and the friendly staff. Great place for lunch and dinner. Spacious dining room, cool off for lunch, dinner, and late night at Buffalo Wild Wings. Wall-to-wall TVs, something for everyone. They got a pick and roll, great lunch menu. You got to take advantage of it as well, and takeout menu too. Eat there 7 days a week. Give them a call at 249-3999, Buffalo Wild Wings. All right, it's time to go fishing with Jennifer Duff from Lynn Haven Fishing Pier in Virginia Beach. How are you?
I'm great, Greg. How are you?
All right, you've been open a couple months. Give us a lay of the land.
Well, currently we are getting a lot of crabs. The weather being so wonky and having gotten hot, the water temperature shot up to at least a little bit over 75. Fishing's been a little slow. They're doing much better overnight and very early in the morning. It's been mostly spot and some really nice sized roundhead. Few croaker and bluefish thrown in. That's about it.
I remember last summer I went out there. It was kind of cold, the water was. I've already gone fishing twice this year. It seems like the fish are biting despite the water.
They are. During the middle of the day, they're not doing a whole lot. Like I said, it's been mainly overnight and early morning. And they've been into this season longer than they did last year. Last year, the water temperature was already up to almost 80 by this time.
Well, let's talk about you're open 24 hours a day. So I guess you get some interesting characters going there at 2 or 3 in the morning sometimes, I'm sure.
We do. We get an interesting mix of people all day long. Mm-hmm. A lot of locals, a lot of tourists. And in fact, we still have locals that have been living around the Hampton Roads area for years and, stumble in not knowing that we've even been there.
Yeah, because you're exactly right, because a lot of people just assume they go down 264 to get Virginia Beach, but a short drive to me is the best way because you can go right to the ocean front that way after you go to Lynn Haven Fishing Pier.
Yes, you can. It's a straight shot all the way down Shore Drive to the ocean front.
Well, let's talk about admission costs, and of course you have free parking, but you do share it with a restaurant.
Yes, we do share parking with the restaurant. So if you're coming, make sure when you pull into the main lot, you're parking on the left-hand side, so you'll go up and around. During the weekends and weeknights after 5 o'clock, we also have some overflow parking, which is directly across the street from there. They're welcome to park in any one of the spaces that aren't numbered. Right.
Of course, talk about your tackle box and your shop there. You got a lot of bait as well.
We have a full line of bait and tackle inside the shop. We also offer, snacks and drinks. just about anything you can think of that you might need while you're out there, we pretty much have at least a little something.
And of course, everybody's always got a fishing story. If nothing else, they can stop by there and get their own bait. But of course, talk about the admission prices and, of course, season passes.
Well, adults and any teenagers 12 and older are $12. Age 6 through 11 is $6. Age 5 and under, it's free. We also offer 3-day passes at a discounted rate of $30. And unlike most other piers, you don't have to use your 3-day pass 3 days in a row. You're welcome to use it any 3 days during the current season. On Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays, except for holidays, we have what we call Buddy Day. Mm-hmm. From 4 in the morning until 4 in the afternoon, you buy one adult admission, you get one admission free.
All over social media, Lynn Haven Fishing Pier, family-owned and operated for decades. Give us your phone number, and, of course, you're open 24 hours a day, and your address.
We are located at 2350 Starfish Road in Virginia Beach, which is a quarter-mile east of the Lesnar Bridge. Phone number is 757-481-7071. You're welcome to call 24 hours a day. That's, of course, the easiest way to get the most current fishing report. We do try to post our fishing reports at least once or twice every day on both our Facebook page, which is Facebook.com/Lynn Haven Fishing Pier, and our website, LynnHavenFishingPier.com.
Very good. All right, have a great rest of the day, and we will talk to you soon.
Thank you, Greg.
Thank you. All right, let's get to what tees me off.
What tees you off? Presented by HamptonRoadsOnlineMall.com.
I'll go by pretty quick, get Joe Daniels' thoughts on a few of these. When you give people your business and the salespeople don't execute the way you want, it's time to get a new salesperson. How about this, Joe Daniel? We've all done this. We've all walked into a puddle with flip-flops on.
Yeah, and I'm a flip-flop person. I wear flip-flops all the time, but that's one of the worst things. When it's raining out and then your shoes and then your feet get all wet, that's the worst. It's almost as bad as getting your socks wet.
Right, that and being in them the rest of the day.
Right.
How about, especially during the winter, that's even worse. How about this? We got so used to text messaging, having to make an appointment to make a phone call.
Oh, wow.
That's pretty bad.
Yeah.
All right. How about this? What's worse than this? Going to get your opinion. No air conditioning in your car, your house, or your business.
Oh, gosh.
Or all three.
Yeah. Yes, they're all bad. I would say probably in your house, especially at night, because I cannot sleep in hot weather at night. I need it to be cool.
Neck sweating feeling. It's horrible.
It's the worst.
Getting out of awkward parking lots. Hello, Tech Center Newport News. The worst parking lot I've seen in my life.
It's the worst when you get lost in a parking lot because you can't. Where's the exit?
That's like my next thing, segue, trying to find something in the dark. It's impossible.
Oh, no. Yeah.
You're out running errands, you and the family, and you have to stop and go to the restroom as well.
Right. That's traveling with kids in a nutshell.
Right. Small talk with the person you don't even want to talk to in the first place.
Exactly. Kind of like your good morning. You're just like, good morning, really?
All right, these will be quick.
I don't even know you.
Volunteer boards that send out minutia emails and give you out bogus awards. I don't want to go in the first place. Canceling something you didn't want to do in the first place. Being on boards are nice. The egos that go with it, not so nice. When you work with someone over 25 years and you realize, not the same as the song goes, que sera, sera, sera. Joe Daniel, also losing something is never fun.
Oh, no, absolutely. And I lose my keys and my sunglasses all the time. I should follow my wife's advice. Put them in the same spot every day.
Just don't lose cash. All right, for more, go to gjbtv.com. Thank you, Darryl Cummings, as well as Ian Locke and Jennifer Duff. And thank you, Joe Daniel. I'm Greg Bicouvaris. Go to gjbtv.com. Hit the YouTube link for archive shows. We'll talk to you soon.
AM 1650 WHKT Portsmouth, 92.5 FM W223CT Norfolk. For your daily supply of news and talk, we are The Answer.